Hello, my dear students. Today, our topic of discussion is the meson theory of nuclear forces. So, here in this session, we are going to study what is a nuclear force and also the meson theory behind this nuclear force. We know that the fundamental forces of nature includes gravitational force, electromagnetic force, nuclear force and weak force. And for these forces to exist, there will be an exchanging particle. Today we are discussing more about the nuclear force and its exchanging particle. Before 1930, neutron haven't discovered yet. So everyone got thinking that how this only protons can reside or exist inside the nucleus. And it was in 1932 James Chadwick discovered neutron. And after that means now they know that this nucleons means both protons and neutrons inside a nucleus. So after discovering neutron, the nuclear force came into existence. Now what is a nuclear force? It is a strong attractive force between nucleons in the atomic nucleus that holds the nucleons together. So we can simply say that nuclear force is the binding force that holds the nucleons together, not nucleus, nucleons together, and it is a strong attractive force. So let's have a look on the different properties of nuclear force. We know that it is charge independent. Charge independent means the nuclear force that exists between two protons or two neutrons or between a proton and a neutron are the same. That means it doesn't depend on the charge. So it is charge independent. And we already know that it is a very strong force. Even though it is very strong, its range is very short. This nuclear force exists only inside the nucleus, and the nucleus is having a size of approximately 10 raised to minus 15 meter. You know the nuclear radius. So nuclear force only exists in the nuclear radius. So it is a very short range force. Actually, it is an attractive force, but at very short distances, it becomes repulsive force. At very short distances, it becomes repulsive force. So these are the main four properties of nuclear force. That is, it is charge independent, it is a strong force, it is a short range force, and it is repulsive at very short distances. Now, we know what is a central force. So central force is that force that depends on the distance, isn't it? So we can say that this nuclear force is not a central force. That means it is a non-central force. And spin and angular momentum dependent force. Then velocity dependent force. And also it's a saturated force. So we can concentrate on the first four properties of the nuclear force. So if you have asked to write the properties of nuclear force, you should write all the first 4 properties. Moving on to our topic, meson theory of nuclear forces. It was Hideki Yukawa, a Japanese scientist, who explained the nature of the nuclear force. And he got the Nobel Prize in 1949 for predicting the existence of mesons. So he just predicted the existence of mesons. We had already studied what are mesons in elementary particle physics. So it was Japanese scientist Hideki Yukawa who had predicted the existence of mesons while explaining the nature of the nuclear force. We already know that for a force there must be an exchanging particle. In the case of a gravitational force, graviton is the exchanging particle. In the case of electromagnetic force, it is the photon who mediates the force or who is the carrier of that force. So similarly, Yukawa had to determine the carrier or mediator of the nuclear strong force. And he called that mediator particle or the carrier particle as meson, derived from the Greek word meso, meaning middle, because it is having a mass between that of an electron and a proton. So meson is a particle having mass between electron and proton. Due to that property, he had given it a name meson due to the word meso, which means middle. So for every force there must be an exchanging particle that mediates that force. So Yukawa predicted that it was meson that mediates the nuclear force. And it was in 1935 that he put forward the meson theory. And we know that in elementary particle physics we had a category called mesons. Under mesons we had studied pi mesons or pions, k mesons or kaons, and eta mesons also. And even though he had named it mesons, it was pions, actually pions, who had mediated this nuclear force. So a meson may be pi plus, pi minus, or pi 0. That means pions, according to Yukawa, pions are the mediating particles of nuclear force. Now we know that inside this nucleus, neutron and proton are there. Now what is happening to this neutron and proton? Neutron and proton are continuously emitting as well as absorbing pions between them. That pions can be either pi plus, pi minus, or pi 0. I repeat, every nucleon is continuously emitting as well as reabsorbing pions. So what happens when someone emits a pion or someone absorbs a pion? What happens? Just think that you are receiving a ball from other or you are throwing a ball to other. See, there is a change in momentum with us, isn't it? When you try to throw a ball, there is a change in momentum. And this change in momentum is equivalent to the action of a force by the equation F is equal to dP by dt. So that the rate of change of momentum is equivalent to a force. So that force is the result of the exchange of pions between the nucleons is known as the nuclear force. I repeat, every nucleon means either proton or neutron is continuously emitting as well as after emission they are absorbing also. So continuously emitting and reabsorbing pions so that there occurs a change of momentum which gives rise to a force known as the nuclear force. So this is the meson theory. Now what happens to a neutron? When it accepts a pi plus meson, neutron plus pi plus will give you a proton. A proton, so accepting means it is absorbing. A neutron on absorbing a pi plus meson will become a proton. Whereas a proton by ejecting a pi plus meson, ejecting means it is emitting. So a proton on emitting a pi plus meson converted into a neutron. Similarly, a neutron on ejecting a pi minus meson converted to a proton, and a proton by accepting a pi minus meson converted into a neutron. Now you can write the equation. You can write the equation, that is neutron n plus pi plus giving you proton, p plus pi plus, sorry, p plus pi plus giving into a neutron. Similarly, you can write all these four equations that shows how the nucleons emits as well as absorbs pions. So during their emission as well as absorption of pions, what happens is that there is a rate of change of momentum, and that rate of change of momentum is equivalent to a force which is known as the nuclear force. So when the two nucleon are interacting, then there is field associated with it, and cause of the field is that the nucleon are exchanging the quantum between them. The quantum means an exchanging particle or an exchanging energy between them. That exchanging quanta is pi meson. See here, proton becoming neutron plus pi minus. So here the proton is emitting a positively charged pion and becoming a neutron. Similarly now so the proton had emitted a pion. That pion is absorbed by neutron, and that neutron now becomes a proton. So continuously this process is going on. See what happens in a neutron-proton interaction. A neutron is converting into a proton by emitting a pi minus meson. So you can check for the charge conservation. See, proton is here positive and pi minus is negative. So positive negative becomes there is no charge for neutron. Now this emitted pion got absorbed by another proton nearby, so that it will become a neutron. So now what about the neutral pion? See, a proton will emit a neutral pion and becomes, see here we can say it to be an excited state like that, and again this neutral pion is absorbed by another proton and the proton becomes in a p dash state. So these are the different stages that occurs inside a nucleus according to the meson theory. So this is the main points of meson theory. There is a continuous exchange of a meson between one nucleon and other, which give rise to an exchange force between them and keep them bound. Now within the nucleus, a neutron is never permanently a neutron. That means a neutron cannot be a neutron for a long time. That is, the neutron, same in the case of a proton also. A proton is never permanently a proton. They keep on changing into each other. That means neutron is converting into proton as well as proton is converting into neutron due to the exchange of pi mesons or pions. The N forces arise due to the exchange of pi zero mesons between the neutrons. See, a neutron, we know that there is a nuclear force between two neutrons. How? The neutron is emitting a pi zero. Similarly, that neutron is absorbing a pi zero and becoming N. So that is, here there is an emission of a pi zero particle, here is an absorption of a pi zero particle. Similarly, proton-proton nuclear force, how they arise? By emission of a pion particle, also by the absorption of a pion particle. So that is the meson theory put forward by the Japanese scientist Hideki Yukawa, in which he proposed that every nucleon is continuously emitting and absorbing pions, so that this exchange of pions will be equivalent to a rate of change of momentum, and it will contribute to the action of a force known as nuclear force between the nucleons. We can also calculate the mass of the pions. It was Yukawa just predicted that such a particle exists, but it was not found at that time. It was not detected at that time. So using the uncertainty principle, we can calculate the rough estimate or rough figure of the mass of the pion. How? See, we have the uncertainty principle regarding energy and time, isn't it? That is, delta E into delta T approximately equal to h cut by 2. So that is the uncertainty principle regarding energy and time. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to find the mass of the pion. See, the question is, use the Heisenberg uncertainty principle to estimate the mass of the meson if the range of the nuclear force is about 1 femtometer. Here we are given the range, means nuclear radius, as 1 femtometer. Now from this relation delta E into delta T approximately equal to h cut by 2, you can write delta T, isn't it? And delta E, you can substitute it by mass relationship energy m pi into c square. We are calculating the mass of a pion particle. So 2 into m pi into c square. Now we had given the radius. Nuclear radius is about 1 femtometer. So use radius is equal to, or distance is equal to, velocity into time. Now what is velocity? We assume the pion to be having a velocity of light. So you can write Rn as c into delta t. So from this equation, what you can write? You can write m pi c square, which is equal to h cut by 2 delta t. Again, delta t can be replaced with Rn by c. So you got m pi into c square as h cut c divided by 2 into Rn. Now you can calculate this value, because Rn is given as 1 femtometer. Thus you can calculate m pi into c square as 100 MeV. From this you can calculate R also, or R as, see, equation for this equation is useful to relate the effective length of any force R and the mass m that mediates the force. We write from this equation, you can write R as h cut c by 2, h cut by 2 mc, or you can calculate R again from this. From here also you can calculate the value of m pi. M pi is into c square is obtained as 100 MeV, or from that you can calculate m pi. That m pi is found to be 220 times the mass of the electron. I repeat, We can calculate the mass of a pion particle by the uncertainty principle, that is delta E into delta T greater approximately equal to h cut by 2, where we can take a maximum range as 1.7 femtometer. Here in the problem the value is given as 1 femtometer, or we can substitute it as 1.7 femtometer, which is the maximum nuclear radius, and can find out the value of m pi, and that is the value of pion mass is 220 in mass of electron, 220 times the mass of the electron. So Yukawa only predicted that there must be a particle which is known as a pion, and he had already calculated the estimate mass of this pion also, and we got it as 220 MeV. And it took 12 years after the prediction to detect experimentally. Experimentally, it was detected that the mass of the charged pions to be 273 MeV. So it took a long time, that is approximately 12 years, to discover the pion and to experimentally calculate its mass. And its mass was found to be 273 MeV about the charged pions, and that of the neutral pions the mass is 264 MeV. And why there is a belated discovery of the pion? Because in the case of a particle physics, in order to discover a new particle, we need particle accelerators. So high energy particle accelerators were not available at that time. So that it took 12 years for 12 years to for the discovery of the pion. Also, the second reason is that the pion is an unstable particle. That means the mean lifetime is about approximately 10 raised to minus 8 to 10 raised to minus 17 seconds. That means these pions, after the production of the pions, they get decayed rapidly. So it's very difficult to discover that particle in their time of production. So because of these two reasons, that is the unavailability of the high energy particle accelerators as well as the instability of the pion particles, it took 12 years to discover the pion particle. Okay, I hope the class is clear to you. Thank you.